What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back again with another panel show for you guys. And what a beautiful day it is to be a Spurs fan today. Let me just cap off what has been going on today. Dragusin has rejected Bayern Munich for Tottenham Hotspur, and we've got the Here We Go for Fabrizio Romano. Eric Dier is in talks with Bayern Munich to for that deal to be basically going back ahead. Jed Spence is going the opposite way to Genoa. There's rumours about Maddison being back fully fit next week. We've already got Romero potentially back for the game against Man United. And to top it all off, we've got our last word on Spurs takeover of We Are Tottenham TV, the best till last. Ricky and Lee, absolute pleasure having you guys on. Ricky, it's been a while. Lovely to see you, mate. How are you doing?
Simba, man. You know what? It's been far too long, mate. Lovely to see your lovely face. Lovely to be on the show. Thank you so much. And, mate, you know what? The 10th of January might be my new favourite day. I do not want this day to end. Never let it stop.
What a beautiful day. Lee, lovely to have you on, mate. Obviously, you're not making your debut on the panel like Ricky, but always great to have you back, mate.
Top man, Sim. Thanks for being back on. Loving the content, mate. Loving everything you guys are doing. So, yeah, good to be here.
And obviously, returning regular, Brains is back on the panel as well. How are we doing, Brains? Brilliant day to be a Spurs fan today, right?
I'm still actually a little bit in shock, if I'm honest. Sam, I half expected to wake up and still see you on a screen being like, is he saying you? Is he saying you? You've actually dragged us in. You've got him. You got us. Like, you had a hunger strike. You cared. I can't let this lovely guy die.
Can I just say, Sim, this is what happens when you let last one on Spurs come in your... It all goes absolutely chaotic and things are happening, right? Things are moving. Come on.
It's incredible. Look, we'll start with you, Ricky. Look, obviously last night I went to bed thinking this is like he's off to Bayern. It's off. Like I thought there's no way Bayern have a deal agreed if he didn't get the go ahead from Dragusin that he's definitely off to Bayern. So to wake up this morning hearing in the news that he's rejected Bayern Munich, he is coming to Spurs, and hearing some of the quotes from the agent that I've been reading, apparently he's honoured an agreement that he's made earlier with Tottenham. He's not thinking about the money. Obviously, there's a lot of agent talk, maybe to butter up the Spurs fans. But what was your reaction this morning, hearing the Dragusin news?
Well, given by the fact, I'm sure the same as you, Sim, we've done hours upon hours of just trying to get the bloody game, the guy's name right, for God's sake. It's taken me 2 days to work out how to say the guy's name. Dragusin. I'm told it's Dragusin. Look, I think it's really good news for Spurs that, of course, we've got what appears to be Ange's prime centre-back target. It's the man he's wanted. It's the man he's targeted all window. And I do feel quite a little bit bad because on our show last night and last one on Spurs, there I was for about an hour battering the guy over loyalty, saying, look, if his head's being turned by Bayern Munich, go elsewhere, go and find somebody else. But look, the clear key indicator here is Ange knew the profile, knew the character. The guy looks to have his heart set on Spurs, despite the agent who's not stopped waffling since the 1st of January. It's obviously great that we've got this man over the line. It appears, like I say, to be Ange's number one target. If Ange's happy, I'm happy. And I'm sure Maka will want to expand on that as well.
Yeah, go on, Lee. I mean, this does seem to be Ange's number one target going into this window. It does seem to be the first, target we really went hard for in terms of centre back. There was rumours about Dier and all these other guys, but this was clearly the one we really wanted, and it would have been absolutely gutting to have it stolen from us at the last minute. So it's absolutely crucial that we've got this one over the line, right?
Well, it's huge, and I think with some of the stats that he's got, he's played every minute of every game so far in Serie A. 6'3", pace, front foot, he's aggressive. He's exactly an Ange probably player. I think you're absolutely bang on. He's definitely his number one target. I just think we're just massive. Just massive. How are we beating Bayern Munich?
Maka, wait till he's got the shirt. Maka, wait till the shirt. Wait till he's got the shirt. Hold up. Wait for the shirt.
Exactly. This is the same club that took our star striker. They're now taking Dier as playing in the green room for money, which is absolutely incredible. And we've taken Dragusin. It's brilliant, isn't it? What a day.
Unbelievable day. Brains. We actually now, with Dragusin, if it gets over the line, which, hopefully it bloody well has to at this point. But if Dragusin gets over the line, all of a sudden, you look at our centre-back options, and we're starting to look very healthy in that department, with rumours as well that Romero might be back fit sooner than expected. Like all the panic, there's so much panic about centre backs and defences and everything, but all of a sudden, we've got Van der Ven back fit, Romero hopefully back fit soon, with Dragusin through the door, Ben Davies performing quite well. Seems quite positive all of a sudden.
Yeah, it is, but it was always that thing of we still needed the guy. We needed Dragusin, and you like people were saying, don't worry about it. Like, and I was kind of looking like, what happens if we don't get Dragusin? Can we have VDV with Emerson if Romero is it? But it's been our luck this season that Romero and VDV will start United, and then something will happen. Romero gets sent off. VDV kind of relapses with the injury, and then where are we at? Then it's like this is like unprecedented for us that we actually have a little bit of depth, and that the first person coming in if there's an injury isn't one of the worst players on the planet. So it's kind of like, do you know what I mean? It's like, thank God that one of the worst defenders on the planet is now going to spend his time warming the bench at Bayern Munich. So I'm feeling very good about this.
I somehow don't think Brains wants Eric Dier back anytime soon. Am I right in saying that, bro?
You are correct. And did Genoa actually take Spence? Because that's also like...
Yeah, they've actually taken Spence, and we're paying all of Spence's wages. We're paying Spence to go to Genoa basically at the moment. That's the deal.
Yeah, because we're rich, obviously. Because Spurs just have loads of money, right?
You know what though? That might be a very good move for Spence, with no disrespect, because ultimately the guy I think needs a complete change of climate, change of scenery. I think for Spence that could actually work out for a benefit for him. I mean, again, there'll be many saying, why are Spurs covering the wages? Look, at the end of the day, I'm sure for the player, his first choice wasn't to have gone to Genoa, and I mean, all due respect. So the reality is, look, we've I think done the deal that ultimately is the most important thing. Is that Radu Dragusin is going to be a Spurs player, and out of all that, however we needed to do the deal and negotiate and structure it, Spurs have made it happen. And look, I've been very much an advocate of pretty much every window under ENIC. For me, I've gone into it and come out of it always feeling that we're a couple short. I can't believe I'm saying this, and again, there'll be Levy apologies all over me now for saying this. We're the 10th of January, and I don't go too early here. If Spurs end this window, in my opinion, with, of course, Werner, Dragusin, and they get a creative midfielder, this will be the first time, I think, in my long history of absolutely loving and supporting this football club under ENIC that I can say, do you know what, we've actually got the players that we needed. And it's not often I've ever said that. And I think, again, that is real testament to Ange Postecoglou and the work this man is doing behind the scenes to not only convince the board, but I think also convince the players over the style of play that regardless when we've had 5 or 6 players out, this team have always found a way to not only stay in games, but go and win them. So I honestly believe at the moment we're witnessing a newfound Tottenham, and there is a new negotiating team there, as we know, like to Scott Munn, of course, Johan Langer there as well. I can't see anything but real positives at the moment, and I just want to bookmark this day and not wake up.
It's been an unbelievable day. And that's a great point, isn't it, Lee, about maybe the ownership, deserving some praise in this deal. They did come under fire, over the last few days about, haggling over a few million and obviously letting this deal, pardon the pun, drag on. There are reports that last night buying up their bid and then Spurs, in response to buying up their bid, did improve their offer, and that has got this deal over the line. So have the ownership put their money where their mouth is in this deal?
You'd like to hope so. I'm not sure this is going to be full-on change for the foreseeable or for the future. Who knows? I mean, I did put it was a cheeky tongue-in-cheek tweet out earlier of Ryan Nelson and Louis Saha signing 12 years ago. And is it the same old stuff, or is this generally different? I mean, dragging on Usin, as you just related to. We're talking about a signing that's been dragging on, and it's only the 10th of January. So that's obviously got to be a positive. I think that Ange Postecoglou is just a pull, isn't he? Right? There's always reports of he's ringing up these players, and that the whole quote about Maddison saying, "Look, whether you join us or not, I'm transforming this football club. So do you want to be a part of it or not?" And it was like, "Yeah, I'm coming." And maybe that's what he's been doing. Maybe Dragusin was always going to come to Tottenham, but when Bayern come in for him, you just don't know. But what I love about it, and Wayne's mentioned it before, and we mentioned on the show a minute ago, is that now we're actually getting a fee for Eric Dier. That extra money that we've actually put into the Dragusin deal is actually being paid for by Bayern. I mean, you could not make this up.
Yeah, but for what that club did to us last summer with the Kane situation, when they terrorised us, we've got a bit of karma there, haven't we? We owe the right to have a little bit now of graciousness about it. And you know what? Again, mate, honestly, do you know what? Can I just say I mean, with all the respect, for Eric Dier, for him in a bizarre way. It's not often you think for a player of where he is at in his career that you could actually get a step upwards. And I mean that with the most due respect. He's got a Bayern Munich move there where he could go on and arguably win a title. He's going to play with Harry Kane. I do think it's ironic, and I have said this on last one on Spurs, that one of Kane's biggest contributions come after he leaves the bloody football club, in which he gets Eric Dier removed. I mean, you just can't make it up.
It's incredible. I just want to touch on what Lee was saying before about the Ange pull. I feel like Ange has his own gravitational pull. You get a bit too close and he just pulls you in. It sucks you in and you can't get away from it. And that Ange pull seems to be something that's been quite significant since he's joined the club. Brains like... Ange seems to have a way with players, doesn't he? Every player is mentioned. That conversation with Ange has been a big convincer. You take your mind, cast your mind back to Maddison, in the summer, saying when he spoke to Ange, he had interest from the likes of Newcastle, who are doing very well, maybe offering a bit more money or whatever. And Ange told him, look, if you come or not, you're going to see a different Tottenham this season, and he really got convinced by that. And Dragusin and, Werner as well, mentioning Ange Postecoglou, that conversation he had with him, being a big convincer. And it seems as though Dragusin is as well I wouldn't say being a victim, but he's been, I guess, been a victim of that Ange gravitational pull.
Well, like I say, Ange really just drags you in. But no, one of the funnest moments of this whole saga, which it's only a short little saga, it's not exactly the Poro situation, but was the agent. Now that agent, this all seemed to me to be him. I didn't really buy the ups and the downs and the swings because the UK journals and just the journals in the know were kind of very stum about it. You know what I mean? And then, but it was just constantly, you could see it was like the Italian, German journals that were really pushing Bayern's in there, Bayern's leading, Spurs are going to drop this. It's all the negative stuff was coming that way to kind of, I guess, I don't even think it was really Genoa, really. I think it was a case of him just trying to get his agent fee up. But I absolutely loved, and I'm not sure 100% if it is a direct quote, but him saying that, I can't believe we turned down Bayern. You can see he's so butthurt. He's like, Radu's basically crazy. He must have bumped his head. All of a sudden, I'm thinking we're going to Bayern. I'm getting this massive agent fee. Then he speaks to Ange Postecoglou, and now he's a Spurs player. The world's ended. I quit.
You know what, Brains? On that point of the agent, I'm not gonna lie. Look, we've seen, obviously, all of us with Spurs, a lot of mouthy agents in our time of players. I'm not gonna lie, that is a little bit of a concern to me in the future. I can't get away from that. The way this agent has displayed himself in the course of the last 10, 11 days does slightly worry me. And again, we're bringing a player in here that we might come into some bit more detail that arguably will have to fight for his place. There's no guaranteed starter in an Ange side. We know, of course, he's had that discussion to say you'll be featuring fairly regularly. But I don't think it's a good thing you've got an agent there that is continually mouthing off with no real sense of control, if I'm being honest with you. I'm not sure how much the player is really favouring his agent coming out saying, I'm in disbelief, should have got the Bayern. The bloke is now going to be a Spurs player. You want to have that player having an agent there that's going to really champion the move, want to be behind the move. And I just think he needs to partner now and leave it. The reality is he's going to be playing in the Premier League. It's the best league in the world. Arguably, in relation to Tottenham, it's a club that are always consistently in the Champions League or in and around those places. So I think in general now the agent needs to be on the move of Tottenham, be behind it, support the player, support the football club. And ultimately, look, it's a great move for the footballer. It's a great move for the footballer. Premier League football, Tottenham Hotspur are a massive football club.
Ricky, look, what the agent in that situation, a professional agent goes, look, it was brilliant negotiation. Yep. It speaks to how good Radu is. All positives. And he should have said, but in all honesty, he always was going to be a Spurs. He's decided early. You know what I mean? Just something positive that reflects on the club that you are now with, not I can't believe we turned down Bayern 3 or twice. It's so unbelievable.
But he also says maybe in the future we will go there, kind of hinting at. Does he? That is a worry. Does he see?
He's not even playing. He's not even over the shirt up yet. He's not even signed up. He's got shirt.
I hope he doesn't see Tottenham as a stepping stone. He really sees Tottenham as somewhere he can really, forge a future and actually like be here for a long time, win things. That's what I'm hoping. Dragusin looks like. But to be fair, it does seem to be this is Dragusin's decision, Radu's decision. It does seem to be he's kind of put his foot down and say, look, this is what's best for me. I feel this is best for my development. I've weighed up both offers. It seems to me he's pushing for this. So in terms of like what I remember there was a lot of debate in the summer about wanting players who really want to be here. I think it was the deal with Vicario. We were looking at Raya and Vicario, and Ange kind of decided Raya was only looking to come to Spurs because he wanted to leave Brentford rather than Vicario, who actually really wanted to come here. So when you're looking at this deal with Radu, and it looks like his decision, does that lean you towards Radu? Do you really want to be at Spurs, or does his agent's comments worry you? I'll go to Lee with that one.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's really important. I mean, Ange's come out and said a few times, hasn't he, that he needs to have that kind of character, the right character in the dressing room, the right characters. I'm hugely big on this. The behaviours around players, mentality is huge. You can have all the technical ability in the world, but if you're going to get your toys out of your player maybe 5-6 seconds, it's not going to get the dressing room. So I do think that's really important. His agent might be a bit, it might be causing problems, but once the deal's done, I'm sure he's going to get a lovely payout off the back of it. He's got 2 years at Spurs. By that point, he might not even be his agent anymore. You never know. Base might take him over. So, I think it's important. I think what's really interesting to me is that this guy's 21, another 21-year-old, like big him up like he's the best thing ever. And I'm sure he's really good. And statistics look good, and he's perfect for Ange. He's only 21. His ceiling is massive. Van der Ven, 22. Doggy, 20. Saad just turned 21. It's craziness what's happening. And we've got from the era of absolutely need champion players. We must have experience. They must be 29, 30, 31. Now we're buying really young players, young talent that Ange and the team are looking at, and it's the future's lily white.
Can I just check? Is Lee on the runway there with him? With Dragusin?
When you left Lee and then came back and it was better, and now it's gone back to being a bit echoey again. I'm not.
I think I've got 2 streams. Sorry, everybody.
It's all right. He did seem to fix it, but we'll go. But Ricky, in terms of what Lee was saying about, Dragusin is a very young defender, 21 years of age. We've seen obviously Van der Ven come in at 22, hit the ground running, and been exceptional since the start of the season. But what can we expect? What do you think we can expect from Dragusin? Do you think we should expect him to come in and straight away be like Van der Ven in a way, and like have an instant impact, and when he does play, be at a high level, or should we be a bit more patient with Dragusin?
Well, look, I think for any player coming from overseas, he needs to be given a period of adjustment and time. And there's no doubt about it. Look, it's not ideal to come in mid-season. I think anyone would say that when you're working under Postecoglou, you'd ideally like a pre-season under him, because you've seen the likes of the way Pedro Porro shone, I would say, since the start of the season, because he's had that pre-season under Ange. And therefore, I do feel that, look, I know expectations are really, really high when Spurs do sign players from overseas and they come at a premium price and everyone's really excited. And look, I'm not trying to dampen down expectations, but what I would say is that for any player coming overseas into a really, really tough league, a physical league, one that is so demanding, we've got to give the guy time, right? I think we've all been crying out for such a long time to have adequate backup or adequate alternatives in defence, and Spurs are slowly getting there now. They really genuinely are. To have this player coming in that, look, I'll be honest with you, I've watched a number of his YouTube compilations. That's all what I can really go on in terms of what I've seen of his profile so far. He looks like a player that, with all honesty, has got a sense of discipline about him. I'm sure we'll change that very quickly. But honestly, you know what? He's very composed. He's aggressive in a good way, commanding of the ball, dominant in the air, fairly rapid over a short period of burst, which is what really Ange needs in that side. And look, there's no reason to not be excited. All I'm just saying is, for me personally, is look, it's mid-season. A player's coming into a difficult, demanding league. Please give him time. Please give him time. Don't expect the earth. Don't expect the world. We'd like to think he's an upgrade on Eric Dier. We'd like to think that. But again, at the same time, he is just coming into the building, given that period of adjustment. But of course, look, we should be excited. He looks a really good prospect. Like
he's
Lee
not
said
a Van der Ven,
there,
though, right? In terms of pace, guys.
No.
You know,
No.
and viewers, he's not.
Not many are. Not many are.
No, Van der Ven's in a world of his own when in that front.
Not many people are, but I mean, 7 key passes, 2 goals, 1 assist this season for Dragusin. 32 recovered balls, and I think that's really important. We're playing that high line. He's got to go back and get them recoveries, and he's doing that. 18 tackles, which I thought was quite limited, actually. Consider it means that you know, he's probably doing some good stuff in terms of his positioning rather than needing to do direct tackles, which is always good. 3 clean sheets, but like I said earlier, 6'3". You know, he's got a massive ceiling, hasn't he, lads? In terms of where he go, 21 years old. It's very exciting. Very exciting.
To go to Ricky's point, though, in terms of adjustment period, I think it's important to note that the team he's playing with in Genoa right now play a back 3 system. If you look at how they play, they're near the bottom for like the amount of passes they have during the season. They're near the bottom for the amount of possession they have in terms of bottom of the Serie A, that is. So it definitely is going to be a bit of a different, a completely switch up basically to how he's been playing with Tottenham as he was with Genoa. So it's going to be interesting to see how quickly he adapts to that system. But looking at how he wants to play, he's very brave, and I think he wants to play that kind of football. I think he's at Genoa right now, and they're playing a very defensive football. I think he wants to be brave. Yeah, what were you going to say, Brains?
I was just going to say, like, you know, when Paro came across, there was that build-up to, you know, us being so excited because we saw him in the Champions League. We saw him in these games. We like do so many incredible things, but when a player comes to league, you know, from the Portuguese, from the Spanish, from Serie A, you know, like the speed of these leagues, they all move at different speeds. On a world game, it's completely different. And then you see like tiki-taka against press. You see how, like, what strategy really works. But the Premier League, this season, more than any season so far, pressing is pivotal. So the speed of the press, cutting angles, playing out of the back. So that's the 2 main elements that we're seeing this season more than we've ever seen before. And all that does puts the most amount of pressure on centre-backs that we've ever seen. So centre-backs can't be slow in any way at all. They have to be very clear and clinical in their thinking, slow the game down in their minds before they pass the ball out. In Serie A, I'll tell you this right now, in Serie A, every defender has about 6 to 10 yards more than any Premier League player will ever have. So that's to tell you that he will be on such a different timeline and speed. So we can't just go, you know, throw him in now against Man United in a pivotal game for us, a pivotal game for them, and expect him not to make mistakes. We saw when Poro came in pre-season, you know, in the winter window, and you saw what happened to him, right? You could see his face after every time he got the ball and bang, he got taken off, bang, he got hit. It was like,
Pony, wasn't he?
And we were all shocked. We were thinking, this guy, we've bought into the highlight reels, and it wasn't that we bought in wrongly. He had those talents, and we're seeing them now, but he needed that time. He needed the right manager. He needed people to go, you've got everything. Calm the game down. It's faster, but you need to get slower. Like, calm it slower in the mind. And that's what I think the biggest task for Dragusin. But the reason it's good is to get a player that age, because those adjustments for players that age are good. Bring them in when bring a Chiellini in, or bring someone who's set. No chance. You're going to get some real problems. But a young player, it'll take a few games, and he might be able to get up to speed by the end of the season. And that's a big win, because like Lee said, 21 years old, for that price, huge ceiling.
Can I say, when Brain said on that point, I don't mind seeing when he said, we can't just throw him in. Yes, we bloody can just throw him in. We need to get him in there.
I mean, we're
talking about that.
We've been chasing for 9 days. We are going to bloody throw him in. Trust me, we are.
Just on that point, Ricky, actually, there has been a bit of breaking news from Charlie Eccleshare saying that Romero is feeling good after his hamstring injury and pushing for a return against Man United on Sunday. Would be a big boost for Spurs and speedy recovery after initial expectations confirmation he'd be back in late Jan. Romero, Van de Ven, and Dragusin could all be in the squad on Sunday. So what was the need for Dragusin? What was the panic? But yeah, look, that's really unbelievable news as well. Do you reckon Romero's seen the signing and think, I need to get back, and my place is under threat. I need to get back into the team.
You know what I love though is, can I give credit, if I may, to the Spurs social execs that are snapping away the pictures, because I think they're under order from Ange to be very, very careful of who they're snapping, where they're snapping, and how they're snapping. Because quite frankly, we've got players now popping up here and all over the place that shouldn't be anywhere near the squad, that are just miraculously making recoveries. Which I think, do you know what? Isn't it lovely having a manager that doesn't tell everything to the media? It is so nice having a manager that doesn't divulge everything. They don't have to give advantages to the media and let them know who's in, who's out. Let it be a surprise. Absolutely let it be a surprise. So look, I'm in full charge of the Spurs social media exec. Boys and ladies and whoever's doing this, keep up the great work.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely brilliant.
Just on that,
Go on,
Tim, if I may, we had Charlie on our show yesterday lunchtime, and in the green room, the three of us said, and I said to Charlie and Rick, I said, I've got a funny feeling that both Romero and Maddison are going to be playing at the weekend. And they were like, oh, you know, what do you think? And then Charlie said about, you know, he'd had a conversation with Ange, and Ange said until they're fully training. And now all of a sudden we're getting these stories coming out that Romero's ready to go. And it would not surprise me, Sim, if you see Maddison on the bench. I mean, what a boost, guys and viewers. What a massive boost. We have just been through one of the worst injury crises in a season that I can remember at Tottenham. 9, 10, 11 players out, genuinely 5 or 6 first teamers out that were getting that team every single day of the week. And we are 6 points off the top of the league. We are 1 point outside the top 4. We're in the 5th round of the FA Cup, 4th round of the FA Cup, sorry. What is happening here? And we're now getting all these players back. We're signing players within 9 days of a transfer window. I need to wake up, don't I, boys?
I just love that Lee. You nearly through City. I love the fact that Lee nearly just advanced against City there before even playing, which was great. You must have simulated the game. Mate,
they've never scored at our stadium, Rick. They've never scored at our new stadium, mate. They got no chance.
And just to touch that point about things feeling different, apparently, I think Charlie Extra tweeted this as well. If Werner and or Dragusin make their debuts on Sunday, it'll be the first time that a January signing has actually made their debut in January for about 12 years. Because we always sign them on deadline day. So they're always, I think, apparently 8 of our last 10 January signings have all been on deadline day. So it does look, is that not evidence that maybe there's been a difference in approach?
Are you not telling me, boys, you've not remembered Bongalo Kamani, the last one?
Of course,
Come on.
What a massive success he was.
To be fair to Charlie, he dug that research out.
To get that. Come on, that guy was a world beater. You don't remember him. None of you remember how good Bongalo was.
I remember him.
But he never actually played. So I'm wondering who the last guy to actually play in January after signing in January was. I can't remember. Maybe Alan Hutton potentially.
Jedson Fernandez was mid-Jan, wasn't he? Jedson Fernandez was mid-Jan.
Yeah, did he make his debut in Jan? He might have done.
I think I've erased him from our club history.
But it just showed like a willingness for Levy to maybe change his approach this window, not always wait till the last second of January, and actually sign players. Because Ange actually made a very good point. Before the window started, he said, we have a whole month, we have the whole of January. Why waste it? Why, if you sign someone on deadline day, and then all of a sudden they're not making their debut till Feb, and then they're not getting acclimatized to the They're not getting acclimatized to the team and everything until probably the end of February. Yeah, if you sign someone in mid-January, they make their debut, they get used to their teammates, and maybe by the end of January, they're settled in. So why waste this month? And that's maybe something we've, definitely something we've been doing for a long time, but this is different.
To the point, Tim, that Brains made earlier about, not throwing in Dragusin. If Romero is fit, and Van de Ven's back, that's your dream partnership anyway, and it gives Dragusin a time to get some training sessions under his belt, integrate into the team a little bit more, right? So you don't have to throw him in. So that's the one point. Just quickly, a bit of a funny one on Jedson Fernandez. I remember at the time, we get Jedson and they get Bruno. Do you remember that?
Only Spurs would sign the wrong Fernandez. You couldn't make it up.
Again, this is, have we changed? Coming back to that, have we changed? I remember all them years ago, we signed this unbelievable young prodigy called held our Postecoglou,
I bloody wish he was Postecoglou. He might have played betterly.
Postiga, and Man United go and sign another young Portuguese starlet, Cristiano Ronaldo. I wonder which one got the right one back there as well. So hopefully things have changed. This is not a Ryan Nelson, Louis Saha. This is a Dragusin and Werner. I mean, I know we'll probably come on to it, Sim, but I'd be interested to get your boys' views on Werner and seeing what you guys think of that particular signing. Because again, that was out of the blue, wasn't it, Sim?
Completely. Look, nice segue into what was going to be our next topic. But Lee, looking ahead there, Timo Werner, proper pro. Look, Timo Werner was, the most exciting thing about Timo Werner. Obviously, I think he's an exciting player, pacing, whatever. Just to have a deal completely out of the blue that no one knew anything about and was instantly basically agreed before anyone even got a sniff of it. That was like one of the most genuinely exciting things about that deal. We haven't had that in years. Because you got Romano tweeting every little element of every single deal. Every deal was going to happen. But to have someone just completely out of the blue was brilliant. But in terms of the Werner deal itself, I'll just give my opinion. I'll ask the guys. I do think it's a smart bit of business. I do think he's a player who Ange will really like, especially from a pressing point of view. I think if I can imagine a front three of Son, Werner, Johnson causing opposition defences a lot of trouble when it comes to how pacey they are and how little time he's going to give opposition players on the ball. If I'm looking completely on a profile of player, I think was a perfect fit for what we needed. If I'm being honest, I don't think he was it just because as a profile of a left winger, I think we needed someone who's very good at dribbling and has a high chance creation. He's not that guy. But if I'm looking at a guy who can fill in on the left, who can fill in up front, I do think up front, I definitely think he profiles definitely correctly. I did think we were probably in need of a left winger more, but he can do a job there. And I think he's definitely a guy who's got the right personality, in terms of the right character to fit in with the team. He's got a point to prove in terms of getting into the Euros. He's shown it before in top leagues. He can perform at a high level consistently. He did it for 4 years for Leipzig, very consistently banging goals. I know he didn't go right for him at Chelsea, but even at Chelsea, I don't think it's any coincidence that they won the Champions League while he was there. He was a big part of that run. He was a big part of that team. And his presence does cause problems. Even when he's not scoring, he's a tactical weapon you can use, even when he's off form, because of his attributes. So I think from those points of view, it works for how we want to play. And I think financially, makes complete sense. Why risk spending big money on a striker in January when there's a very small market? There's limited options. You always have to hike your prices in January as well when you're signing attackers. And look, all our attackers are, I know Son's away, but Charlatan is scoring. Kulusevski has got 5 goals. Johnson's getting assists at the moment. Son's obviously got 12 goals. He's doing really well. So when he comes back, hopefully he'll be firing again. So I don't think, as much as I want an attacker, I don't think there's this massive need that everyone's saying we have to get an attacker in for big money right now. I think a smart move like that, and then in the summer we can reassess it. But and look, if he signs, we can get him for cheap. If not, we can then go for a big money signing that maybe will better suit. Well, we'll have more options in the summer of who to sign. But Ricky, talk to me about Timo Werner, because one that completely came out of the blue. It's not one that anyone had on their radar, but it's one that people are slowly coming around to, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I said on Sky, for me, it's, potentially, it's very low risk with a massive high ceiling and high potential on the basis that it's a player that we're not paying an actual fee for. We're, like I say, essentially covering the wages until the end of the season with a nominal, I would say, fee. If Spurs do want to get him on a perm, 15.5 million, that's the reported fee. And I think the key thing above all here is that, look, Ange wanted the player. And when you look back at the last few years, we've had a situation where there's been club signings forced upon managers who they've directly come out and said, I didn't want that player. No disrespect, Jed Spence was not wanted by the manager, nor, of course, was Arnold Danjuma. So the key thing for me about the windows that we've got now is that the manager is being backed and given exactly what he wants. And I think we all agree, given the start that Ange Postecoglou has made as Spurs head coach, this man absolutely deserves to be given the players that he wants. And that further enhances the case that when you look at the summer business Spurs did and the profile of players, that has been really, really key. And the one thing I will say is that with the journeys that we've had on last week on Spurs so far, of course, since January of the start of the year, the one consistent thing they've always said about Werner is he's a really good guy in the dressing room. And I don't think we can underestimate that, because ultimately we all know what happens when you've got a couple of bad I don't know to be disrespectful, but bad eggs around the place that aren't all pulling in the same direction, that really, really has a drastic effect on your dressing room.
Isn't Dombele coming back, Rick?
Don't start Tim on
Perfect, mate. He's eating them all.
He got mad at the match last game. He got mad at the match.
Even to the end of the season. You know, can I just say one thing? I want to challenge one thing. You look at his actual record, even at Chelsea, it was still, you know, a goal conversion rate or an assist rate, one every 3 games. You know, if he does it at Tottenham, I don't think we'd be too disappointed. You know, Sonny will be coming back. We've got obviously Decky as well that will be playing. Brennan Johnson, I think Brennan is a player that is, for me, still very, very raw. And ultimately, again, with game time, he'll get that obviously experience to be playing in what I believe to be a much higher club that he's going to have time to adjust to. But I just think the Werner signing, to me, is an absolute no-brainer. He scored goals wherever he's been. He loves scoring at Spurs. Let's hope that's a good omen when it comes to playing opposition at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And I think, can I be honest with you, the one piece of advice I'd say, he, for me, similar to Richie, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, they're confidence players, right? So they really, really need the crowd to be behind him. So my only message would be to the fans, wonderful viewers and listeners to We Are Tottenham TV, and those that listen to Last One on Spurs and watch Last One on Spurs as well, is that these players need our backing. So when we're in that stadium, I want to hear Werner on the dance floor. I want to be behind the players from minute 1, and also the away fans as well, because you don't realise how much the away fans and the home fans really drive those players on. The players mean it. When they say, you are the 12th man, we are the 12th man. You saw during lockdown when it meant not having fans at the ground, not having fans in the stadium. It had a drastic impact. So I would say to every fan, every viewer, every listener out there, do not diminish or think how important your support is for those players when they go on that field. It is absolutely massive. Get behind the players, get behind Ange, because I tell you what, I think we're all getting really excited, and why not?
Definitely, but just to touch on Werner quickly about his position. Obviously, while Son's away, we do expect him obviously to predominantly play on the left. But when Son does return from the Asia Cup, where do you reckon most of his minutes are going to come? Do you reckon you'll see more centrally or more on the left-hand side?
Yeah, I think. Obviously, he is a central striker. That's what he fancies himself as. If you specifically look at his obviously Leipzig pre-Chelsea career, obviously you gun him through the center. His pace-wise, when Son isn't here, like you've got to have him up that wing, and then when Sonny comes back, then I think how we got to look at this next 6 months is a free hit on Werner. It's an amazing signing because I think his potential. He's never reached his ceiling. Like that was a burst at Leipzig. So I think Ange loves a player who's like got something to prove. He's got so much to prove. Now you don't want the opposite to happen. That what we want is like he sees the pressure again. I think exactly what Ricky's saying. We have to help Ange put the arm around. But I think one of the coolest things about Werner is as soon as the news broke, apart from my 10 minutes of going, what the, apart from crazy. I immediately, I've got loads of friends who are, Chelsea lifers, and we always banter all the time. But I hit them up straight away saying, "Oh my God, Werner," and they were bummed. They weren't like, "Oh, what are you doing?" They were all like, "Oh, man, I totally love Turbo Timo," and Rory Jennings was going on about how he became a cult guy, and the thing that really I loved was Rory Jennings going, "Oh, he was the worst player ever. I hate him," because you know that he's, you know what I mean? So I'm really excited about it. But I think what we've got to see it as is that he's not fully our player yet, but it's like let's see him get on the pitch, let's see him score a couple of goals. I personally think that he'll get more goals than Richie for this season, and then I think it's a case of when then we have a big decision in the summer. Huge decision on whether we bring in like a marquee striker or we roll with, if Richie is still in good form and you've got Werner firing. If we get Werner firing, look at that deal. Look at that deal. That deal added. What was the final fee for Dragusin? What was it?
Dragusin, I think 30 million euros, including add-ons, I think.
Million, yep. And then 15 to 20 for Timo. This is insane deals that we're doing now. The age, okay, Timo's 27. I still think 27 is pretty much your prime. We can get him his prime. We've got such a player. So there's nothing but positivities there. I think as a fan base, Rick's right. We have to see the potential. If we can help, we are the 12th man. The clubs die if they don't have that 12th man. At our stadium, we need to get behind all the players, no matter if they make a mistake. If they make a mistake, then we sing for them. Not just waiting for them to do something good. We sing to pick them up when they're down as well as when they're flying, you know?
Definitely. Yeah. So, yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think, I do think the fans are going to be behind him. And I think as well, the extra element of him, you know, failing at Chelsea is going to add a bit more spice to the deal when it comes to fans being on side. But just back to the point, Ricky, where do you see him playing predominantly? Do you reckon out on the left, or do you think, you know, he's going to be a central striker predominantly?
Well, I think he will probably play centrally whilst Sonny's obviously away for obviously South Korea in the internal tournament there for the Asia Cup. But you know what, Sim, I'll be honest with you, it wouldn't surprise me at all if we'll be interchanging through the game. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, I think the beauty of this player is his flexibility, his adaptability. And again, don't underestimate the fact that is why he's here. You know, Ange loves players that are versatile. You know, you've seen him use Emerson Royale as a left back, as a centre back, as a right back. And don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting here saying that Emerson Royale is Spurs' greatest ever player, or he's, you know, arguably a player that we can't afford to let go of. But Ange loves players that are adaptable, willing to work for the team. And I'll say it back to what I said earlier. From all the reports, he's a really, really good lad. I know people laugh when I hear Roy Keane say that. He's a really, really good lad. But he is a great lad in the dressing room. He'll bring a lot of banter, a lot of fun, a lot of energy, a lot of passion. And you know what, Sim, as well? He brings a winning mentality. Go and look at what that guy has won. He's won wherever he's been. He's a Champions League winner at Chelsea, which does make me laugh a little bit. You know, Chelsea writing the guy off. He won a Champions League there. Chelsea would have to be back in the Champions League. They don't even bloody win a Champions League the way they're playing at the moment. So I think, you know, generally at the moment, I think we've all got to get... We've all got to get behind a player. I think it's, for me, a no-brainer. You know, when you consider what you were going to pay in this market and just how hard it is to get strikers, everyone knows January is such a hard market. And don't also underestimate the fact, from my understanding, he had an opportunity to go to Manchester United and wasn't interested. He only wanted Ange. He only wanted Tottenham, which again re-emphasises the fact players are picking Spurs now because they can see something happening, and it's bloody brilliant.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And as well, the fact that we got this deal, the Werner deal, done so early, and gives off the impression that we had a strategy going into this window that we're executing. When Ricky brought up the Danjuma deal, you know, before, it's important to know that was done really late on the window. He was on his way to Everton, and we kind of just scrambled together a deal and kind of got over the line. And yeah, in Conte even admitted that, you know, this wasn't a deal that he wanted. That didn't like come off as something that was strategic and planned. It just came off as something we were doing on a whim to try and appease the fans, kind of thing. Doing this kind of deal early definitely suggests to me that we've really gone out and looked at Werner and thought, you know what, I think this is a really smart move, and we're going to get this over the line as quickly as possible because he can really help us. But for you, Lee, if things don't go right with Werner and you know he does, you know, continue his poor form that he's been going through over the last couple of years, is there any kind of, do you think all of a sudden, you know, the hierarchy might start getting some backlash in terms of like, should we have pushed the belt out for a striker that, you know, that could, because you look at the position we're in, you know, as you say, 6 points off the top, you know, a lot of people saying we've got an opportunity here to do something big, you know, we're not been in this position for a long time, this close to the top of the league, you know, in January. Now's the time to really push the belt out and have a go in the transfer market. I think people are in general being positive about Werner, but if things do kind of go awry, is there any sort of like, have we been cheapskates here? Could we have done something different in terms of this deal?
Yeah, I see what you mean. And I think there's always going to be that, Sim, to be honest, hence the Louis Saha, Ryan Nielsen comments earlier in the show.
Exactly.
I think that the actual deal for Werner, as you've all said, I think it is a no-brainer, to be fair. I said on our show last one on Spurs in the week that, you know, is he coming in? You know, some people will go, we sold our best ever striker and we got in a Werner. But we all know, let's be fair, Werner isn't a Kane replacement. We all know that's not the case. And I do agree, Brain said it earlier, I think his biggest quality, it's going to sound a bit stupid, it's not necessarily his goal scoring, it's actually his press. His press is a joke. His press is a joke. If you go and watch some of the clips of Werner, he always pressed. But what was happening in Chelsea is that they weren't a pressing team under Thomas Tuchel too much. So therefore, he's doing the press on his own. Whereas actually in this team, as soon as you get Madders back as well, by the way, just quickly, we've totally missed Madders' press. is Madders' creativity and everything else, but the press is ridiculous. So when you get Madders back in pressing, you've got Werner in the team that's pressing, you've got Richie firing all cylinders now, he's got his back sorted out and whatever, and then Son to come back in. I don't see Brennan Johnson pressing too much at the moment. Then you've got Kulusevski's an ox, no one can get the ball off him. I mean, it's mega exciting, isn't it? Let's be honest about it.
Yeah.
We don't even talk about the defence anymore. We don't need to. So the actual deal for Werner is a good one because it is a no risk, right? If he flops and he scores, he scored 1 goal in every 5.6 games for Chelsea in the Premier League. Okay, so if he plays the next 18 games, he might score 4 goals if we're lucky and get a couple of assists. It's not bad. It's not a bad return. He's going to be in and out. He's not going to be starting the whole time. Are we expecting him to get 15 goals this season? Probably not, but he might do. And I think that's we don't know. And actually under the right system, with the right manager, with the right environment, he has got the ability to do that, as Brains alluded to earlier, right? So I think it is a bit of a no-brainer on that side. What I would say is, one of the key reasons why we're not going for an absolute elite striker is because Harry Kane's.
Oh, he's just making a point and then crashed, did he?
He only came and cut the feed, didn't they?
I was left this morning on Harry Kane.
Let the people know why are we not going for a top striker? I need to know why we're not going for a top striker.
Tell you what, leave a classic EastEnders moment there.
Look, while we wait for Lee to come back, let's get through some super chats that have been sent to us. So we first got Brian Daigle saying, "What a great day! Big up to Lee and Ricky. What a magnificent day! I believe Ange Postecoglou holds the key to world peace." Wow, yeah, that's what we need. We need Ange Postecoglou to get in all the negotiations for all the conflicts. That's what we need.
That's not like Daigle to say a big inflammatory statement.
No, surely not. Dark Sun G says, "Come on, you Spurs. Remember our centre-backs used to be Dier, Sanchez, Toby and Rodon and Tanganga. And our right-backs used to be Aurier and Doherty. Now our centre-backs are Van de Ven, Cuti Romero, Dragusin, Royale, Davis, and our right-backs are Porro and Emerson." Yeah, I mean, look, definitely we've upgraded our defence 100% over the last year, and I think that's. I have to say, I look at our defensive options. I'm so much happier with them compared to last season. I think we've definitely levelled up massively. Dark Sun G again says, "Also, I find it amusing that we got players that were in our manager list before Ange Tuchel." In brackets, Dragusin, Ten Hag, Werner. This shows we got a better manager. Come on, you Spurs. Okay, I get what he's trying to say. Yeah. And then Dark Sun G says, "We are the only team in the Premier League doing outgoings and incomings. Also, we got rid of Spence, Lloris, and maybe Dier, to which is massive. February will be huge when Son, Sarr, and Bissouma return." Yeah, it's 100% right. We're the ones really making moves in the window, aren't we, compared to our anyone in our rivals at the moment in the Premier League? So, got to commend Spurs for getting things moving very early, because clearly it's very difficult in January compared to the business everyone else is doing.
Sim, so sorry for dropping out again. Can you
It's
hear
all
me?
right. Yeah, we can hear you. We're all wondering why we're not going for an elite striker. We're all sitting here
What's
wondering.
happened to Harry Kane? What's happened to Harry Kane?
It's like an EastEnders moment. The reason why we're not going for a league striker, and you can bookmark this, all the viewers and all the fans of We Are Tottenham TV, is because Harry Kane's going to come back. We own Bayern Munich now, so Harry Kane's going to come back. Elite striker. Don't worry about that. He's going to do 2 seasons, and then he'll be back at Tottenham Hotspur. So to break that record and he can jump on the bandwagon of Ange.
Lee, no disrespect. Make sure he leaves Eric Dier there. Yeah, don't bring him back.
No, he won't come back. Just Kane.
So selling Harry Kane was a smokescreen for buying Harry Kane. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. That's how it works.
Listen, this is the kind of intel that you have to pay for, right? What unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Inside knowledge there from Lee. Look, who knows? I'm begging for Bayern to win the Champions League just so Kane can get that monkey off his back, and maybe he's thinking, look what Ange's doing at Spurs. That's the only place to be, surely. Maybe he'll start feeling that. But look, in terms of, obviously, look, we got Werner and Dragusin through the door now. We've still got 20 days till the end of the window. There's reports from the Times and other places saying that Tottenham is still looking to bring a central midfielder through the door before the end of the window. Ricky, do you think our business is done here? Do you think we're done with incomings? Or do you still have a sneaky feeling there's more to come?
Sim, I'm on really uncharted territory here. We've signed 2 players in the 9th of January asking me if our business still could be more could be done. I'm like, my brain is fried. I'm already at this point going mental. I'm throwing all my toys out the pram going, it's not good enough, it's not good enough. You know what? It's a mad window so far, and I wouldn't put it past Spurs. And given the start Ange has made, it looks very, very clear. I mean, I don't mean to any disrespect. Those that go to Spurs, every other week, they'll see Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg that when he comes on, does give his everything. I know many might feel giving his everything maybe now is not enough in terms of the level that Spurs are looking for. He's clearly not an Ange Postecoglou player, and I think many that obviously stay around after the games at full time do see Pierre really the first one down the tunnel after games. And look, I don't say he's got to be out on the pitch. We know it's a nightclub. You haven't got to stay out there all night. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, I just think if Spurs got the opportunity to have an alternate to Pierre that is a better suited player for the squad, by all accounts, that looks like it's going to be Conor Gallagher, then I'd be all for that. The only thing I would say, and Lee has been consistent on this in the last one on Spurs, is that Conor Gallagher, I mean, I was going to say Chelsea are one step in a final, but they're actually not at the moment. They've got quite a lot of work to do in that semi-final against Borough. He is the Chelsea captain. He's a standing captain for Reece James. Obviously, Chelsea are going to be looking for a huge, huge fee, but we don't know how severe their FFP issues are. So what I think will be interesting is, towards the close of the window, how desperate are Chelsea to get rid of him? How desperate are Spurs to sign him? And I would think if Spurs can't get him this window, I think they probably wait until the summer if that's the man that Ange wants. I was told in confidence that in terms of what his list was in the summer, Conor Gallagher was really, really high up on there. He likes a player of an engine. He likes a player that is going to give his absolute all on the field. He's obviously, again, ticks that premium being homegrown as well, which I think, again, is a really attractive common grounding for Ange. He likes to work with British players. And that's no disrespect because, again, he's brought a lot of, obviously, foreign players and they've done really well so far. But I think he sees Conor Gallagher as a really proper midfield enforcer that will be happy to be part of a squad, that can be versatile, that can be adaptable. And that's why I think on Conor Gallagher, I wouldn't rule that out at all. Like you said, 20 days or so left of the window, anything can happen. Keep your eyes peeled.
Do you agree with that, Lee? Do you think is Conor Gallagher the only other maybe option? Maybe there's one from left field we haven't heard from yet that maybe could be in the running. But does it also depend on Hojbjerg leaving, or is there any other position you think maybe outside of the box we could be going for in this window?
Yeah, I mean, who knows this window now, Sim? It's all up in the air. I still can't believe it. Like, wake me up. I agree with every word Rick just said on Conor Gallagher. That we have had some information around. With Charlie yesterday on the show, he talked about that he confirmed that Spurs are keen on Gallagher, but he did say that it was going to be dependent on somebody going out the door. We actually focused our conversation, didn't we, Rick, yesterday around Hojbjerg. As you just brought up, Sim. So, there was a huge amount of interest in Hojbjerg, wasn't there, from Atletico Madrid in the summer? I think they put a loan offer, if my memory serves me right. We wanted a straight sell. Obviously, the Fulham situation collapsed because Paulinho and all this sort of stuff. So, I've had a man crush on Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg since he joined the club. I quite like the bloke, to be honest. I don't think he's done anything wrong. I just don't think he's part of that system now. That's obvious. That's quite obvious. He obviously knows that. The team know that. All the fans know that. But actually, when he comes on, when he starts the games under Ange Ball, he's been bad, in my opinion. He's actually come on to shore things up. He's done all right. I mean, he had a hand in the pass going forward to Richarlison that went back to Celso that flicked over the top for Son to score the Bournemouth second. He had an absolute brilliant pass in the Sheffield United winner through Decky. Again, if my memory serves me right. Yeah. I mean, who can forget? I think you boys were there. Sim and Ben, your brother was probably there as well. In the stadium in Marseille, right? I don't know, Brains, if you were there. When Pierre scored,
that was the big moment on the show.
Oh no, we were in the studio. Yeah, when we knocked over, we covered the studio with beer. Yeah.
Oh, did you? I mean, what's a finish? So he's got it in his locker. And look, I'm not advocating to keep Pierre per se, but I think I think you've said this on the show before, Sim, that he should command a decent fee. Certainly last summer, he had 2 years left on his contract. So you'd probably be looking at around 40 million euros for him, maybe 35 million euros, something like that, maybe 30 million quid. But actually now, 18 months left, you're probably looking at around a 25 million euro type mark. And as Charlie eloquently put the other day, yesterday, teams in Europe just don't have that money to spend on a Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg, 25 million euros. So we either do a loan deal or we don't. My only worry with Pierre is that it goes down the same route as the Eric Diers, the same route as even the Christian Eriksen's, the same route as, everyone else, the Ndombele's, where you can't get them off the books. They just want to stay here. They just want to be here. And actually, in a year's left on his contract, he might as well go, do you know what? I've got a year left on my contract, 28 years old. I can go wherever I want, get a massive payout at the end of next year. So we might end up keeping him around. And that might end up hampering, sorry for the long answer, Sim, but that might end up hampering whether or not we get in another midfielder. And whether or not we get a left field in, somebody like a Saar, when Saar came and he went back out on loan, everyone was kind of like, yeah, he might have potential, but what's the kind of point? We're looking at this young guy, I think, from Blackburn Rovers. He might be a similar scenario like that, where actually...
I'm sorry, Lee, he looks too much like Eric Dyer's brother. Avoid.
He does look like Dyer. Yeah. But it could be another Star situation, couldn't it?
Move on.
Yeah. It could be another Star situation.
He might be a really good player, to be fair. He might be a really good player.
Doggy's probably one of my favourite. I mean, it's so hard not to love this whole team today as we talk. It was so easy to hate most of the team, wasn't it, under previous managers, certainly over the last 5 years. But Dougie is one of my favourite players in the team. And he done the same thing, bought early, went back out on loan, come back in. So I don't know if there's a left field sim, but, what excites me, I just don't think the Conor Gallagher deal can happen because of Chelsea, because he's a captain, because he's one of their own, because he might pick up a trophy, blah, 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 blah. But if Rick's right on that financial fair play situation, and they do have to get rid of their homegrowns to I think there's 2 homegrowns that they've got left, because that's what they sold off, haven't they? That's what they've sold off all their homegrown players to make this rebuild. And actually, let's be fair about it. Their central midfield options, they're not light. When everyone comes back, isn't Lavia? Isn't he?
Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo.
Caicedo. I mean, they're not short of midfielders here, are they? So actually, they could turn around and say, look, 50 million for Conor Gallagher because he's English and there's always a premium on English players, etc. It's selling it to Spurs, but ultimately we get out of our financial fair play scenario and Ange gets the man that he wants. So who knows? We've just had, this Wednesday's just happened. So who knows what happened? I would say about it is I don't think we're going to make another signing in January, like a first team signing, if you like, until the deadline. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think they'll be saying opportunistic, maybe deadline day, but I can't see Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg leaving before we've got a replacement in, and I can't see anybody coming in until the deadline day, because that's just the way that transfer feels. See where I'm coming from, Sim?
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think Gallagher's realistic. I don't think he wants to come. I really don't think Gallagher wants to come to Spurs. I think he's desperate to stay at Chelsea. I think it's going to be more about Chelsea forcing him out than anything. And is that a situation where Tottenham are going to want to commit funds to a player who doesn't really want to come? I don't know if that's... I feel like it's a situation where I know Chelsea might be forced to sell, but unless Gallagher feels disrespected from Chelsea forcing him out, I just feel like he wants to stay there. That's his team. It's his boyhood club. He's captain there. I just feel like he does want to... I don't think he wants to make the move to Tottenham as much as exciting project. I think he wants to stay at Chelsea if all being equal. I think go on, Ricky, what are you going to say?
Well, I think I want to say it, Sim, is that, look, in my opinion, Spurs would not be chasing up a player that has not shown them any direct interest, right? There wouldn't be a reason that Spurs have courted him in the summer and then subsequently again in January if there's definitively no interest in the player joining the football club, right? And I think it's all very well. Look, I know, again, he's a homegrown boy, he played for Chelsea, but Chelsea aren't the same club that they were, 4 or 5 years ago when they're winning everything. I think we can all see it's a project. It's going to take its time under Maurizio. And again, look, he's a headline of that team. There's no doubt about it. He's the captain in it at the moment. But all I would say is that Spurs would not be chasing that player up if there is not a reason to do so. That's the thing I would say. That's why I say keep an eye on it. That's
a fair point. Look, I think, I agree with that, because when the club gets to the point of making a bids and approach, there's always talks between intermediaries and agents and all that kind of stuff. And clubs don't make move for players if they haven't got interest behind the scenes. So I 100% agree with that. But Brains, for you, obviously there's always talk about getting another midfielder in, if that's the place we're going to go. But if you look at our midfield options right now, even if you take Hojbjerg out, you've got Bentancur, Basuma and Saar are coming back. You've got Maddison, you've got Celso. Kulusevski's shown he can play in the centre mid role, and he's probably going to play more there now because Werner has come through the door. So where does a new midfielder even fit in if we sign them? Because it's difficult.
Yeah, because I think that then dictates the profile of player that you're looking at. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I love Hojbjerg, but he probably would be, him and Gio would probably be the two to go, because Gio is, I don't know if the rumors are true, it looks like he's picked up something now, might be out with the hamstring.
Apparently the rumors are he's only going to be out for the United game, but apparently it's not too bad.
But you're seeing already, he's definitely not a player, even no matter how good he is. And I think I genuinely think he has a wand of a left foot. I think he's got his potential, his talent is unbelievable, but you just can't get 5 games out of him. You just can't. So there's just no point having him, right? So Gio and Hojbjerg go. But the thing is, you look at that midfield, you're struggling at this point now. This is the problem you want, right? You're struggling to look at that team and think, how does Kulusevski get in here? How does, he's probably not the best on the right wing. He's great at cutting in, but he does more in the midfield. But you can't play him all the time in the midfield. You need that balance in a Postecoglou side. So you're talking about Madison, Bentancur, Basuma and Sarr. They're going to fight for the 6. Where does Kulu get in? So I think you've already got enough marquee names in the midfield to really carry you through. So what I think the profile of player that you're probably looking for, and why I think we're being linked with a Hayden Hackney or Adam Wharton, Dan Neil, these types of players who are the cream of the crop midfielders in the Championship, who look incredible every time. This is the great thing about the FA Cup and the other cup competitions, because you actually see how much these boys control games against Prem teams. They stroll around. It was like Alex Scott before, and why probably Alex Scott was a profile player that we should have gotten. And I think we missed out on an Alex Scott. And I think that might be who we're trying to get in. So that our 4th cover is actually potentially one of the next great midfielders. So I think that's who we might be looking to get in. So, and actually, I don't think you go bad with Daniel, Adam Wharton, or Hayden Hackney. Adam Wharton is probably skillfully, he kind of looks, he can do the stuff that Bazuma can do. He can do the grimy Hojbjerg stuff. I think that's the kind of player. And then you're probably looking at, despite the fact that you need a rotation through Doji, and you would be quick to say, no, but you don't, because you got 2 centre-backs. VDV can just play every game from now until the end of eternity, because he can just go on the left. No, you actually need a really, and I don't think Cess. I think Cess is, I don't think he's the guy to cover Udoji. So you need a left back. You probably need a centre back, but then again, less marquee. And then do you just rely on Phillips and Dorrington? You probably aren't going to go and get Brantwaite, even though we'd all love that. That'd be an incredible signing. Imagine if you did. Think of that. Think of those. Think of the 4 defenders you would have at the club. But you probably are looking then for. So it's not the marquee then at this point. Until maybe summer. I think summer you're probably looking at make a big decision on a marquee striker if you need to. Make a big decision on bringing in a marquee defender if you need to. Or you're probably looking at this trend seems is these kind of profile players who have the world ahead of them, like these Dragusin type players who have such high ceilings, like an Udoji. The youngness of these guys, SARS. What we are building seems to be unbelievable for the next few years. That Sarr is such a dominant player in this team, and it's not even his time really yet. He's going to be captain material in 3 or 4 seasons. It's not even a Doji school time yet, and he's going to be running up the assist amounts and all the progressive passing. It's a beautiful thing. So I think you're probably looking for Gio out, Hobby out, and then if it's one more this window, it's probably a really solid midfielder who's a young midfielder who's in the England under-21 who's going to come in and potentially be and be better than Skip, and Skip then ends up your last alternative, but you probably keep him at the club. But I also think you're good at looking at. I like the rumors with Mateus Sol and Rooney Bargi. Those types of players who bring in people who can play as cams and play as wings and play as strikers. Then you're really talking. So if you just got 1 or 2 of them and a marquee player in the summer, one kind of lower profile midfielder now, look at this squad you're talking about. You could literally put out 2 11s as good as each other with balance. Kind of we ever like that.
Can I just say one thing on the Celso very quickly, if you don't mind? My only concern with the Celso is that we've got a guy here that, no doubt about it, there's quality there in abundance, there's talent there. But the big issue is that if we can't get this guy out on the pitch more than once every other week, we've got a really big problem there. Spurs potentially next season are going to have some form of European football. if we're in a situation where we've got a guy that cannot play on a Sunday to a Wednesday and revert that back to back, that's a big. It's a big problem. It really, really is. And look, I like Celso. I mean, I think, again, we've seen there's something about him. And when he's under the right manager and he's got confidence, he's a definitely good player. But the problem we've got is that, again, with no disrespect, we can't be carrying players now. We've got to have a squad that's fit, that's hungry, that's youthful, that's energetic. And by the way that Ange plays football, my worry with Celso is, and you look at his injury record already, I can only see that getting worse with Lo Celso. I don't mean to be a downer on it, but I really do worry that Lo Celso in an Ange Postecoglou system and side twice a week just doesn't seem to work. And that sounds, again, very, very harsh to say this, that if we got an absolutely crazy offer coming this January, I know Spurs are short in midfield. I wouldn't be surprised if the club looked at it. I'm not saying they would get an offer coming, but we know he's really happy at the moment. We saw that in the Spurs programme. But all I'm suggesting is that if an offer came in, that would be arguably a huge sum of money. I think you'd have to look at it on the basis that we can't get this guy out twice a week. And that's arguably what Spurs are going to be doing next season.
I agree with that.
And one last point on Hojbjerg, to Lee's earlier point. I genuinely have a lot of respect for Hojbjerg and how he's considered in Denmark. 100% he will not do a Dier because he actually believes he should be starting. So he'll wants to play. He wants to be in the Denmark. He wants to be continually being captain of Denmark. I think he's the kind of player who wants the move. So exactly what Ricky's saying there, we can't also have any players in the team who are looking to get a move away. He wants a move. We should focus, even if the rest of this window was to focus on finding a solution for the Gio move and for the Hojbjerg move. That would be huge for me.
All right. Well, before we end the show, let's touch on the Man United game on Sunday, because there was a big game coming up and potentially some new signings, set to make their debuts. Ricky, I'll go with you first on this one. Obviously, our form is a bit of a weird one. Our performances of late haven't been the best. We have been getting over the line with some wins. We saw on Friday night we were really labouring against Burnley. We just got over the line with a bit of quality. But, these new signings through the door with players coming back from injury, do you reckon this is a shot on the arm we need, going into Sunday to get a big performance out of the team?
Oh, gotta say, Sim, I bloody hate Man United away, because we've in the last 3-4 years, I've gone there absolutely full of confidence. We've had the Ronaldo show against us. We've had the Bruno Fernandes show against us. And you're thinking, where's that come from? Where's that come from? We should have gone there and absolutely steamrolled them. And you know what? Worse again, I'm feeling confident going there because of the nature of how this is playing out today. And it's awful saying that. But, we've got Dragusin that could make his debut. We've got Werner that could make his debut. We could have Romero back. And you know what? Again, it's a game that I always feel at Old Trafford. You can't underestimate them because United fans are old school, right? They still look at Tottenham and still think the Roy Keane of 20 years ago, lads, it's Tottenham. They still think that. They still think there's a real soft underbelly there. But I want to see a Spurs side go to United full of confidence, express themselves with the ball, dominate the possession, press them up high. Because I tell you what, if Spurs open the scoring against United, that could be floodgates there. And people might laugh at me saying that. Honestly, I genuinely believe that. If Spurs start fast and Werner gets a goal in his debut, the confidence that would give him be absolutely superb. But look, I've said this the last 3 years with United away. I go there full of confidence, full of belief, and in no doubt that if Tottenham can play the way they've played in certain parts of this season, they can get a result. But it is about what kind of Tottenham turns up. And I do feel the first goal is absolutely crucial. Grounds like that and the mentality of Tottenham, I feel with Spurs sometimes we play the name rather than the team. Chelsea being the prime example. We always seem to play the name rather than the team. But I do feel Spurs can go there and get a result.
Yeah, what do you reckon, Lee? Because last few weeks we have been labouring a bit, haven't we? We have seen after the Brighton game, Ange said we were looking tired, we were looking sluggish. Against Burnley on Friday, wasn't a great performance. We got over the line, but do you feel like we go into this game with new energy now with all the circumstances?
Yeah, I think we do, Sim, and I think the fans feel like that as well, and I think that has a knock-on effect. Like you were talking about the 12th person earlier, and I think that we are, we feel that, and the players will feel that. I'm not even sure whether Werner starts. I mean, have a look at the, I'm pretty certain that Romero is going to start, in my opinion. I think Van der Ven and Romero back, Doggy on the left, Parr on the right, Vic, Venom in goal, absolute best keeper of the league. Do not even worry about that. Now, that is an unbelievable result to be going to Old Trafford with if all 5 of them are back in the team. And then you've got, you pick your midfield, don't you, out of that lot? So we've just been talking about Celso, we've just been talking about different midfield players. But ultimately, yes, Sar's away and Basuma's away. But now you've got a scenario where you can play Kulusevski in there. You can ultimately play, Celso if he is fit. You can essentially now start to change that up a little bit around Werner and Richarlison and Johnson being the front 3, and then leaving some of them other players to play in the midfield areas. So I'm more confident. I think the weird thing about Old Trafford, I think you're bang on, Rick, is like when we go to the Etihad, who are the best team in the world, right? The best team in the country, the best team in the world. We don't seem to have the same kind of fear of the Etihad as if when we go to these old grounds like United, Chelsea, Anfield. It's just a mind block. And I don't know if it's just us fans or actually that feels like that with the players as well. Like, you all agreeing, lads, right? It's a weird thing, isn't it? So we've had a 6-1 there in lockdown. We had a 3-0 there when Lucas Moura bagged the brace and Kane got the other one. We've got it in our locker to go out there. And I agree. I think one of the things that you can't level at Ange or any of these players since we've had all these injuries is that we do start generally games fast. I mean, every single game that we started, or most of the games, can't say every single game, so I can't remember them all, but even the Newcastle game, when we didn't score till 24th, 26th minute, we still started really fast and strong. Started fast and strong against Chelsea. We started fast and strong, getting early goals, 8-minute, 10-minute goals. And I think I think we'll probably end up doing that with Manchester United. I think it's just one of them where against United, we always seem to make mistakes. Right, it's an individual error that always costs us. I remember that
every time.
Score. He literally does not score goals. And against us, he scored. They win 1-0, the over-the-head Dier thing. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Have an own goal or own goal.
I've forgotten, but carry on.
Yeah. The offside, the own goal, I think, was another Eric Dier situation where it was an own goal with that Cristiano Ronaldo hat tricks. And it's tiring. So,
can I change my mind now?
Yeah. I think, look, I said this, I can't remember if it was on the pod or I said it to someone the other day. I think I said this to Jamie. If we beat Manchester United, we actually go 11 points clear of them, which is absolutely insane. I mean, It is insane that we go 11 points clear with how many games we've got left to play, 16 games to play, 17 games to play. I think the difficulty is if we lose, that's a swing the other way, and actually a win at Old Trafford probably cancels out, if you know where I'm coming from, the loss against Brighton, because I had the Brighton game down as a draw and I had the Old Trafford visit down as a draw, but now we've got a win at Old Trafford to cancel out the Brighton situation, and I think we go second, boys and viewers. We go second if we win because of the way the fixtures are going. And typically, Ant Costa now, if you're watching the stream, he is going to go mental at me for saying this. But we always seem to, well, maybe the old Spurs did, but we always seem to kind of mess it up when it matters most. When there's a game in there, you go, do you know what, you can go second here. And then
so true.
But saying all of that, I mean, a draw wouldn't be a bad result from Old Trafford, but in the circumstances of where they're at, where we're at, the whole context of the season, I think we need to go and win there, boys. And I think we will, to be honest.
Confident there, Lee. And but Gav, we saw against Aston Villa recently, they were 2-0 up there and they ended up losing 3-2. Even though Man United are in the state they're in, you can never take that game for granted. And given, our performances of late haven't been fantastic, that's all, you got to take that all in consideration. But for you, going into this game with the new signings and the players coming back, how do you feel going into it?
It's a tough one for all those reasons of not wanting to get excited for what Ricky was saying, because every time I do it, kind of it's a stumbling block. And also, like, when it's all you got to do, all Spurs have to do now is just win. Like, then it's always drop, So I'm a little bit, like, now I'm extremely nervous about the game, and I was looking forward to it like 5 minutes ago. But, like, some of the problems are, like, so good now when they could have been so bad. Like, does he play VDV and an Emerson who's actually come into some good form in that position, you know. But like then it's a new partnership, so do you just go scrap it and actually have VDV, who's, I guarantee you VDV will not let anyone else start other than himself. You know what I mean? Like, and Romero's probably going to do the same. They're probably going to try call rank. That's why you're hearing that, like saying, I want to play. Of course they do. So do you just do that because it solves the problem and then bring on, play them for 60 minutes and then bring on Dragusin and ease them in? But that might even be more deep end sink or swim stuff for him, you know, coming in. Maybe the game is at 0-0 or 1-1, and it's like, drop him in now. That might be even more hectic. Or do you kind of just take the first half and then Romero maybe comes in or something like that? I think but you know, not to joke around, that's a massive decision to make. The game might hang on that. But then the other biggest decision is, who is your midfield? Because if Gio is out, I would have said your midfield is Bentancur in the 6 and then Kulu and Gio in the 2-8s, because I think it's so dynamic. That's so dynamic. The way that they did that against Villa before Matty Cash proved how much of an idiot he is. Like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was so beautiful. It was moving so smooth, and what we created 15 chances in the first 20 minutes. You know, so you can see like 15 chances in the first 20 minutes with that speed of front line would be incredible. But I think now with Gio out, I think, do you just go for a little bit of strength? Do you put Hojbjerg in the 6 and let Bentancur and Kulu do the 8 and 8? Because that's also something, you know, and then you just give Hojbjerg a little bit of confidence to go in and start and do the 6, or do you just have Skip do the 6? And I think the problem with Skip and Bentancur is, Skip and Hojbjerg slows the game down, which you're supposed to do, but we don't need that.
So too similar, far too similar.
Yeah. So and then you've got Skip, and Skip is a little bit panicky. He's not press resistant. Skip kind of panics. Sometimes he's trying to move the ball too quick and the ball just goes nowhere. So obviously Bentancur is like so smooth and elegant, and he's just beautiful a player to play out from the back. And he even if he loses the ball, it goes perfectly to something that's even better, you know. So it's such a huge decision there. I think the easiest decision is the front three, where you have BJ, Richie, and Timo. That's the easy answer. But it's what do you do with that midfield? And I think against them, because I think Man United this season, their midfield at times has been shocking. So you got to pick whether you want to go take a little bit of, err on the side of caution and have a Hojbjerg sitting in front of a Dragusin, or is that too crazy a mix? Or do you just go make it dynamic as hell going forward with Bentancur and Kulu in the 10 and 8 and just go for it? But the one thing...
Brains, just to interact with you there, I think the thing that you've just touched on for me is the killer, is the press resistant. I think that's the issue with Skip and Hojbjerg, because I don't think Hojbjerg is press resistant either. And I think what Bentancur gives you in that 6 is press resistance 100%, because he can turn, he can drop a shoulder, he can take like a little bit Basuma-esque and you know, Dembele, dare I say. But what you lose going forward. So if you did put Bentancur in the 6, would you put Skip in as a running around 8, just like a Sarge? You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying Sarge just runs around, but he's obviously an understudy to Sarge as a number 8, and then let Kulu do the creative work. Or are we praying that my tip's correct and Maddison starts, and all of a sudden we've got Maddison, Kulu, and Bentancur? I mean,
that would be the greatest thing ever.
We have our minds blown if Maddison was in that lineup. Could you imagine what it'd be like?
That would be unbelievable.
I actually genuinely think it might be a case of, you're right, 100% putting Bentancur as the 6, because he is so, and I think the way we attack is the drop of the shoulder and go, like get out quick, draw them in to press. We want them to press. That's our whole Ange system, is bring them in and then go around the corner, 1-2 through the line. So I think you have Bentancur there in the 6, and then actually I think Hojbjerg, as we've seen, you were saying it earlier, Lee, like he's actually had such important interceptions and balls through the line and combination play through the angle. So I think you actually put Hojbjerg, because Skip's last game in that 8.
Against Burnley. No, he's not it.
You know,
Hojbjerg and Bentancur under Conte in a two-man midfield, midfield, they definitely did all right. So maybe you just push Hojbjerg further forwards, whereby he doesn't have to worry about being press resistant, but he presses himself.
That's where he plays for Denmark. That's exactly it.
He'll probably score. Let's go for prediction. Hojbjerg to score.
Out of all the players, everyone getting excited about Madison and Werner, and Hojbjerg's going to get the winner.
What, you
I'm
mean,
sure.
you mean we haven't sold him? You mean we haven't sold him by Sunday? What an awful window! Get rid of him.
Levy out, exactly.
Have we not done a third deal by Sunday? What's going on here? It's not good enough. It's not acceptable.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, look, he's got some big team selection choices. Ange Postecoglou going into Sunday, as Brains just said. Look, because I feel like the front three on paper picks itself, but I also feel like that front three. Is it just going to have? Are we going to have enough ball retention there? Is it just going to keep coming back at us if we get it to that front three? Is there anyone there to hold it up? Bring other players into play? Is it just going to be bouncing off Rishi and Johnson and Werner whenever they get into it?
I think
he's been improving. He has been improving.
Yeah,
that's why part of me wants Kulu in that front three, but I think we need Kulu in that centre because Gio out. I think Kulu's obviously been much better in the centre recently as well. So I think obviously we need him there. That kind of picks itself now. But if Madison's involved, then obviously he's got a decision to make at centre back. Does he throw Dragusin straight in? Is Romero fit to play? Is Van der Ven going to come straight in? So it's going to be fascinating to see what kind of lineup he does pick on Sunday, but I'm super buzzing in the game. I do think there's a really good chance we go there and get a really good result. I'm not certain we're going to win just because, as Ricky said, I think our record at Old Trafford's terrible. Even when we're high flying, we still seem to go there and have some sort of mental block. But I do think if we go there, and look, and also you got to remember we got this game, and then after that it's a Man City game in the FA Cup. So these are two massive, a Manchester double header, and it's like two massive games for us in both competitions for our season. So these could be two massive games in terms of what's going to happen for us this season. Do we, if we progress in the FA Cup, that's probably a bigger game. But if we, as Lee said, if we beat Man United, we could go second in the league, and what an opportunity that is to really put pressure on the top sides. But look, really appreciate your guys' time. Been an unbelievable panel. Really great. I've had such a great time, guys. It's been an unbelievable panel. Really appreciate you guys coming on. But look, Ricky, I said Licky.
I've been called far worse by my wife. Don't worry about it. I'm getting pelters now. Don't worry about it. It's all good. You're absolutely fine, bud.
I really appreciate your guys' time. Ricky, do you want to tell the people, some upcoming guests maybe coming on Last One on Spurs? And obviously, if you go in the title, you can subscribe to their YouTube channel. Just click on the link there, and it goes straight there, and give them subscribe. But yeah, Lee, Ricky, or Lee, who was coming up?
Well, with Licky on with Licky on Last One on Spurs, we've got. We've got Darmesh on tonight. Joining us, Darmesh from Sky Sports' very, very own. Yeah, Darmesh joined us tonight for the update on Spurs hopefully getting number 7 or 8 through the door by the end of the weekend. Fingers crossed. Listen, we're blessed this month. We've got a lot of
hours, man.
Yeah. It's coming. Darren Lewis joined us next week. We've got Sky Sports' very own Lyle Thomas on the panel as well coming up. Listen, we're absolutely rammed with a lot of top journalists that come on and join us on Last One on Spurs. I mean, I'm sure Lee will say, look, it's absolutely humbling to have these guys come on and give us so much of their time to give us an update. And I think, look, all of us, I've got to say, the window does send people pretty nuts. I think we all want to buy everyone, we want to sell everyone, we want to loan everyone. But it is a fun time of the year. And can I just say, look, it's not very often, Sim, I'm sure you'll say the same thing, that we have an opportunity to all get together and just be happy about where the football club is at. So, look, I urge everybody out there, every Spurs fan, embrace it, enjoy it. Give that lockdown a little bit of hell because they're going through a bit of trouble right now. And fingers crossed, look, who knows where we'll be at the end of the season. But let me just tell you, we are going on a real high forward trajectory. Long may that continue. We've got the right manager. We've got players with the right profiles that are in place. We're buying the right positions. We're buying the right profiles and players. I'm so excited right now. And look, hopefully, Sim, we get the opportunity to do it more often because absolutely loved being on the show with you. It's been a real tremendous panel. And you know what? The buzzing and excitement that comes through on a show like this, hopefully that mirrors what's to come for the rest of the season. FA Cup is huge. Premier League is huge. Double is on. Bloody go and enjoy it. Come on.
Big up to you, Ricky.
Oh, man.
Who knows? Lee, pleasure having you on as well, mate. Appreciate your time. Looking forward to having you guys back on the show. And Brains as well, bro. Appreciate you coming back and being a regular guest as always, man. Always great having you on. But look, that is all we have time for today's panel. Big up to these guys. Again, look at the title of the video and go subscribe to Last Word on Spurs on their YouTube and show them some love. But big up to everyone out there. Enjoy the rest of your day. Remember, this day is a brilliant day for Tottenham Hotspur, but enjoy the rest of it. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.